This morning, I was walking through the Agora, and I saw him again. That young man, with the fine new cloak, wool dyed deep crimson, stitched perfectly at the edges, clasped with polished bronze. He moved through the crowd like a victorious general, and the people parted for him, nodding, smiling, whispering his name. He had money in his hand, confidence in his step, and many admirers at his side. One man near me said, "There is a successful youth." Another added, "He's going far. Perhaps the assembly, perhaps even higher." But I stood and watched, and I wondered. When the crowd quieted, I stepped forward and asked him, "Tell me, young man, you are successful, but are you good?" He stared at me. Then he laughed. Then the others laughed too. He showed me his coins. He pointed to the men around him. He gestured toward his fashionable sandals and said, "Look at me, old man. Of course I'm good." I smiled. I said, "You are successful, but I asked if you are good. Do you know the difference?" You see, that is our trouble. We have become confused. We speak of the good life, but we often mean the successful life. We admire the rich man before we examine his soul. We follow the loud man before we ask if he is wise. We envy the praised man before we ask if he is peaceful. And so, I must ask you, not just him, but you. Do you want a life that looks good, or a life that is good? Because the first is a performance, the second is a practice. The first wins applause, the second brings peace. The first fades, the second endures. So if you wear a fine cloak, I will not envy you. But I may ask, how did you earn it? What did you trade for it? And beneath it, is your soul in harmony? For a man may dress like a king and still be ruled by fear. The good life, my friend, does not begin with what is seen. It begins with what is true. And that truth, if you are willing, we shall now begin to explore together. Let us now pause and ask clearly, carefully, what is success? What is the good life? Because until we define them, we will chase shadows, confuse noise for meaning, and mistake applause for peace. In the streets of Athens, and perhaps in your own city, success is easy to recognize. Or so they say. It shines, it climbs, it owns, it speaks loudly, and is listened to. Success is wealth, a home larger than your neighbor's, a cloak finer than last season's, a purse that never empties. Success is fame. The crowd chanting your name, the poets writing of your deeds, the merchants offering you the best figs without asking. Success is power. To command others, to shape the laws, to have your word taken as truth even when it is not. Success is reputation. To be admired, envied, pointed to as an example of what to become. But all of this rests on comparison. You are not rich unless others are poor. You are not powerful unless others obey. You are not admired unless others look up to you. Success in this world is built on being above others, and that is its weakness. What happens when someone else becomes richer, more admired, more powerful? Then your success trembles, and so you chase again, and faster, harder, louder. And all the while, you may never ask, am I becoming better, or just becoming more? Now, let me offer you something different, something less praised, but more lasting. What is the good life? It is not measured by weight of coin or the length of applause. It is measured by the order of your soul. The good life is a life of virtue, of character shaped by truth, not trends. It is a life of examination, where every action, thought, and desire is brought to light and questioned for its worth. It is a life of inner harmony, where reason rules, where desires are tempered, where your choices reflect your values, not your fears. It is a life where the soul is well governed, even if the world is not. You may have no title, and still live nobly. You may have little coin, and still walk in peace. You may be forgotten by history, and still be remembered by truth. It is better to fail with virtue than to succeed with vanity. Because a failure in the eyes of the crowd may be a triumph in the eyes of the gods, or in the quiet chambers of your own heart, and a success that costs your integrity is no success at all. So now I ask you not what you own, but what you are. Not how high you've risen, but how deeply you've lived. Not who praises you, but whether your soul would praise itself if it could stand apart and see. That, my friend, is the better question, and that is where the good life begins. Let us now examine something that deceives many. The illusion of achievement, for it glitters, it flatters, it persuades the eye, but not the soul. It is dressed like greatness, but often it hides great emptiness. Let me explain. I have spoken with men who are called great in Athens. They have estates beyond the olive groves, slaves to serve their every need, statues built in their honor, sons educated by the finest tutors. And yet, when they sit across from me, and the crowds are gone, and the wine has dulled their pride, they confess, I feel nothing. I do not sleep. I do not know who I am without my victories. What if they stop applauding? Fame is a wind, and winds change. Applause ends. Beauty fades. Even gold grows dull when held too long. So I ask, if your joy depends on what can be taken, is it truly yours? Because what you chase for glory can leave you hollow when it is finally in your hands. Now here is the greater danger. In chasing success, we do not only risk disappointment. We risk losing ourselves. We begin with desire. A small one, perhaps. To do well. To make my father proud. To be someone. But as success grows, so does its appetite. You strive, you reach, you achieve, and then you look up and realize you have no idea who you are anymore. You have gained the world and lost your soul. You wear the right clothes, say the right things. You have the reputation, but not the inner reality. You look successful, but inside you are unsure, exhausted, ashamed perhaps that even now it is not enough. And that is the great lie. Enough always stays just beyond the horizon. No matter how fast you run, it runs faster. So let me offer another path, not of striving, but of stillness. If your soul is in disorder, no possession will settle it. No victory will quiet it. No praise will convince it for long. You must return to the center. You must learn to sit with yourself. Not as a failure, not as a champion, but simply as a soul asking, am I becoming good? Am I whole, or only appearing so? Am I living, or merely performing? I have seen men decorate their lives like temples with columns and fine marble. But inside, the altar is empty. Success without goodness is like a golden mask on a sick man. It may fool the crowd, but not the mirror, and certainly not the gods. So I urge you, before you chase more, pause, sit with the self you already are. If it is unsettled, ask why. If it is hungry, ask what it truly needs, because achievement is only meaningful when it serves the soul, not replaces it. You may say to me now, Socrates, I hear your warnings, but how do I know if I've strayed? How can a man tell if he is truly living a good life, or simply chasing what others applaud? The signs are not always loud. They do not come with thunder, but they are there, quiet, constant, unmistakable to the honest mind. Let us examine them together, not with guilt, but with courage. The first sign is this. When you make a decision, do you ask, will they like this, or is this right? There is a world of difference. If you act to be admired, you are not serving goodness. You are serving your image. You shape your words for approval. You post your virtues for praise. You perform kindness, not because it is good, but because it looks good. But principle does not ask, will this impress? It asks, does this honor what I know to be true? A good man will do what is right, even when no one claps, even when no one sees. So ask yourself, would I make the same choice if no one ever knew? If the answer is no, then your life is being steered by praise, not by principle. The second sign is more subtle, but just as telling. You cannot stop. You fear rest. You keep moving, not because the work is worthy, but because stillness frightens you. Why? Because in stillness, the questions come. And if your life has been built on striving for more, on chasing applause, on proving you are enough, then silence becomes a mirror you would rather avoid. But I tell you, a soul at peace does not fear quiet. If you must constantly rush, if you avoid reflection, if even a single moment without progress feels like failure, you may not be living a good life. You may simply be distracting yourself from it. True goodness does not panic in stillness. It dwells in it. And here is the final sign. You believe your worth depends on your results. You say, if I fail, I am nothing. If I succeed, I matter. This is not wisdom speaking. This is ego. Wisdom knows your value does not rise and fall with your performance. You are not only what you produce, you are what you become. There are failures more noble than victories. There are quiet, hidden acts of virtue that weigh more in the soul than 1,000 crowns. The fruit of a good life is not a trophy. It is peace. Peace within yourself. Peace with your choices. Peace that does not depend on being seen, or measured, or applauded. So take this moment. Reflect. Are you acting from your core, or for the crowd? Do you fear silence, or welcome it? Do you measure success by trophies, or by truth? The answers will not always comfort you, but they will guide you. And that is the beginning of the good life. So, you have seen the signs. You recognize the drift from goodness toward glory, from peace toward performance, from truth toward triumph. And now you ask, how do I return? Not return to the beginning, but to the center, to the good life, not the life that shines, but the life that grounds you. Let us walk the path together, one step at a time. The first step is to look clearly at what you've been calling success. Hold it up to the light, not the torch of the crowd, but the lamp of honest reason. Ask yourself, where did I get this idea of winning? Who told me what matters? Was it a teacher, a parent, a neighbor, a god? And ask, not with bitterness, but with bravery. Is this mine, or merely inherited? Because if you live by someone else's dream, you may spend your life climbing a mountain only to find it was the wrong one. Strip it down. What if success is not wealth? What if it is not reputation? What if it is not being better than others? What if it is being at peace with yourself, even when the world is noisy? Would you still want it? The second step is this. Do not build your life before you align your soul. You would not sail without steering. You would not plant without first clearing the soil. Then why do so many make plans, chase goals, build entire lives before asking, what guides me? Let your reason lead, not your hunger, not your fear. not the praise of others. Let the better part of you shape the rest. Practice daily self-inquiry, not to punish, but to purify. Ask, did I act with virtue today? Did I speak truthfully? Was I moved by what is good, or by what is loud? This is not vanity. This is maintenance of the soul, and like any good craft, it must be done with care, daily, deliberately. And here is perhaps the most transformative step. Live to serve, not to impress. Success wants to rise. It wants to be seen. It wants to be applauded. But virtue stoops. It lifts others. It gives without spectacle. Ask yourself, who did I help today without needing thanks? Whose burden did I ease, not for applause, but because it was right? The good life flows outward like a spring. It nourishes quietly. It leaves no monument, but much fruit. So, if you are tired of performing, tired of chasing, tired of waiting for the next achievement to finally feel whole, come back to this. Strip away what is false, align what is within, and serve from your soul, not your ego. This is not the easier path, but it is the truer one. And if you walk it long enough, you may find that the life you sought all along was waiting quietly beneath the noise. Let us now bring our journey to a close, not with noise, but with stillness, because it is there, in the quiet corners of the soul, that the truth begins to echo. We have spoken of success, of praise, of fame, of fortune. And we have seen how easily those things slip through the fingers, like sand, grasped harder, but never held. But what if, instead of chasing what glitters in the eyes of others, you chose something rarer, something deeper? What if you chose peace of soul? So I ask you now, as plainly as I can. If you could have peace of soul, but no fame, would you take it? Would you walk a quiet path, be known by few, celebrated by none, and yet live in harmony within? Would you choose a life that feels good, over a life that only looks good? Would you walk away from the crowd if it meant returning to yourself? Because this, my friend, is the question that separates the restless from the wise. You see, we are taught to rise, to climb, to outshine, to compete. But I have found that the soul does not rise by climbing. It deepens by rooting. And so I say to you, what matters is not how high you climb, but how deeply you live. Not how loud your name is, but how clean your conscience. Not how great your reputation, but how gentle your judgment of others. Not how much you own, but how little you need to feel whole. In the end, the man who lives well does not chase the flame of applause. He tends the fire of inner peace. He is not blown by every wind. He is not emptied by every loss. He does not barter his soul for coins or claps. He walks quietly, but he walks with truth. And now, as you go, I leave you with one last question. Will you chase what shines, or follow what is true? Only one of them leads home, and only one will meet you again in the stillness of your soul when all else fades.